In this video, I'm going to talk to you about equipment inspections, and this is a tough one. Some drivers do a really good job with pre-trip inspections and inspecting their equipment, and others just don't do any type of pre-trip inspection, and I see this from operation to operation. And the way I approach training drivers on inspecting their tractors and trailers and things like that is trying to get them to think about the highway patrol officer in the SUV that's driving up and down the highway. We always think about going into a weigh station or an inspection station and getting caught there, but it's really the officers that are driving up and down the road that are looking for things that can stick out for them to pull a driver over. If you were to look at your maintenance problems, generally the three major categories that are a problem are lamps, flaps, and tires. Brakes would be the fourth category, but drivers don't do a good job with checking brakes. We would like for them to get the little tool and check the brake gap and all that, but commercial drivers as a whole, they really are not great at checking the brake systems of a tractor and trailer. So knowing that, then we really got to focus on the drivers to improve reducing the violation for lamps, flaps, and tires. And so I always talk to them about the highway patrol officer that's in the SUV that's driving down the interstate, and they're looking for problems. They're passing trucks all the time and they're looking for issues. And the things that stick out is obviously a lamp being out. That's number one. The second one is a mud flap that has a tear in it, or the red and silver tape is missing, or the flap is missing as a whole. It's just glaring at them. Okay, there's a problem here. I need to pull this driver over and inspect the equipment. And then with tires, it could be the tire has no air in it, it's just sitting on the rim, or there is some type of defect on the tire. So when I am working on the onboarding of new drivers and training drivers on this, it's one thing to go through a whole pre-trip inspection. And for me to do a full pre-trip inspection on a tractor and trailer is 45 minutes. And realistically, drivers are not going to do that. They had to do that to pass their CDL test to go through everything on all that, but generally they don't do that. So I really want you to focus on the top three categories that you would see on your vehicle maintenance basic, that tires, lamps, and flaps are probably the top three. Brakes may be up there also, but it's really that. So work with your drivers on doing a pre-trip inspection of those three things, tires, lamps, and flaps, and then doing in-trip and post-trip inspections on that. So getting the driver comfortable with doing a walk around every time they fuel their truck or they stop for their 30-minute break or something like that. Things happen during a trip that a light goes out or something like that, that they can catch those more frequently if they do those in-trip inspections. So teaching them to do that as part of their daily walk around of the equipment every time they stop will help solve some of those violations from occurring. And then getting down into the nitty-gritty of, okay, we're going to check lights, and I have found that teaching the drivers on using the pre-trip inspection switch in the cab, a lot of tractors have that now where you just turn that on. It turns on all the lights. Turning that on and then walking around and making sure that the headlights are good, the overhead cab lights are good, the tractor tail lights are good, then the trailer lights are good, the marker lights up top, the trailer tail lights are good. Just teach them what to look for. And part of that onboarding training I do is where I get the driver in the seat with their seatbelt on, play the mock DOT inspector. This is a great way of training this and getting them out of the seat, starting at the tractor, going down the driver's side, then going down the driver's side of the trailer, to the rear of the trailer, up the passenger side of the trailer, to the passenger side of the tractor, to the front of the tractor, back to the seat. The secret is doing this process the same every single time. That way they won't miss anything. So using that pre-trip inspection switch in the cab, turning all the lights on, make sure you teach them how to do that, checking the lights. And then on the flaps, it's what I find with a lot of drivers, they don't understand about the defects in flaps. So it could be a small tear in the corner of the flap. That could be a problem. It could be that the flap is got some other type of defect in it. Recognizing that and then giving them step two, what they can do to get that fixed. So if you need them to go into a truck stop or whatever your maintenance solution is to get the flap fixed, then they can catch it before they get pulled over. The other thing is on the red and silver tape on the flaps, making sure that is good. I see in violations where part of that tape is missing and it's torn off, and the maintenance folks for your operation have not dealt with that and they haven't fixed it. And then you're looking for the driver to fix it on the side of the road. And there's a whole bunch of different stories I hear from drivers that some drivers are really good about getting things fixed on the road. Others say, I'm a CDL driver, I'm not a mechanic, I'm not doing that. That's the real struggle with all of this. And then tires. I get operations and the owners of operations and maintenance folks that will talk to me and they'll go, well, I'm going to force my drivers to use a tire pressure gauge and have them take videos of them checking the tires. That's not realistic. It's hard enough to get them to go around and check the tires. It'd be great if they would do that, and making sure that they know how to inspect a tire. Think about the steer tires. The steer tires are the scariest part of a tractor. You blow a steer tire, that tractor is going to pull violently to whichever steer tire goes out. It's going to cause a major accident, could result in serious injury or fatality. And getting them to understand that, so you can't inspect the interior of a steer tire unless you do what? Lift the hood. They have to do that. Checking the tie rods to the tire mechanism, making sure the frame's good and all that. They need to be checking that stuff. Checking the interior tires on the tractor and the trailers, making sure that they are looking at it, looking for things that are wedged in between those two tires and things like that can result in a rock or something being thrown. Teaching them those things. And a lot of times when I go do an on-site inspection with a motor carrier, they'll say, oh, that trailer over there, yeah, go check that one over there. And then the tire has no air in it. It's just sitting on the rim. There are certain things that a driver can see very quickly on what's going on. And our goal here is to get them to avoid violations, but also the cost to the company on you drove on a tire that had no air in it and then it shredded and came off. Having a conversation about tires with a driver that a tire in the shop is $300 to $400, a tire on the side of the road is $1,500 to $2,000. That's a big difference on tires right there. Having them understand the aha moment of that, especially if you got owner operators that are responsible for their own maintenance and all, is teaching them to do this right. So when you're teaching the equipment inspections, focus on the things that the highway patrol can see when they're driving past the tractor and trailer. And then the last thing that gets a lot of drivers in trouble is the hoses from the tractor to the trailer sitting on the catwalk. That is so easy for a DOT officer to go, oh, there's got to be frays in that hose because it's rubbing on the catwalk, and that can be problematic. So if you will really work on the training with your drivers during onboarding and ongoing training on the tires, flaps, and lamps, you will greatly reduce your vehicle maintenance score in a hurry on that. So that's great. We got the drivers focused on that. Yes, we want them to lift the hood. We want them to check the fluid levels and things like that. That's what you want to do. On that, there's tricks that you can do. I see some operations that will put the keys attached to a dipstick, and the driver gets in the truck and they go, "Can't find the keys. They're not where they're supposed to be." "Oh, did you do a pre-trip inspection?" "No." Or they say, "Yes." And I go, "Well, you obviously didn't because you didn't lift the hood to see that the keys are attached to the dipstick." I have other operations that'll put, you can get these little plumbing, they're made out of aluminum with a little O-ring on them that you can write on them with a Sharpie marker that says "call safety" or whatever, and put them on a dipstick. And if they don't call safety, obviously, then they never did their pre-trip inspection. There's little tricks that you can do to ensure that the driver lifts the hood. Now, if you really want to reduce your vehicle maintenance score, there is a three-prong process on doing that for a motor carrier operation. And this is going on if you have a maintenance department, a garage. The three-step process is your driver's doing their pre-trip and post-trip inspection. That's process number one. Process number two is the mechanics are doing a second inspection. That's process number two. And then process number three is having a safety lane as the driver leaves your yard. That could be the guards doing this. It could be a dedicated maintenance person doing this. But someone that is looking at it, you'll get really good results on lowering your maintenance basic score if you do this three-step process. So how does it work? Your driver does their pre and post-trip inspection while they're out on the road. When they return to the terminal, maintenance pulls that tractor and let's say they use a dedicated trailer. They would pull that into the shop and do a once over on the truck while the driver is on their 34-hour reset. And they do a complete review of the tractor and basically have their equipment ready to go for their next driving week. And then the third one would be having that guard or a maintenance person. Okay, the driver did their pre-trip inspection. They're getting ready to go out for their week. They do their inspection. You can either have a safety lane in your garage that they run through real quick where this third person is looking at the equipment. Yep, everything looks good. Or the guard's doing a simple walk around. That person, that third person there, the way that we avoid violations is not just on the equipment, but going through with the driver on their paperwork. "Driver, do you have your bill of lading and shipping paper?" "Yep, right here." "Show me a blank logbook." "Yep, right here." "Show me the tractor binder." "Here." "You logged into your ELD?" "Yes, sir." Do all that, and then just have them do a simple walk around, instruct the driver to turn on the pre-trip inspection. This guard or this third person walks around, looks at the lights, looks good, checks the tires, looks good, looks at the flaps, looks good. That system right there of having the driver do an inspection, maintenance do an inspection, and that third person do an inspection will drive your vehicle maintenance problems down in a hurry. So try to put that system in, and that will really give you better results. I hope these tips help. You guys be safe out there.